If you don't tell somebody, they don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
this,
again, this also goes to criticism.
where do you hear people talking about this stuff? Where you're getting it out there deep down in there where people will know this stuff.
You know where they talk about it? Oh, 86 Chef!
There you go.
The chef show with no food.
That chef show with no food.
That I could not say it earlier.
Only
okay.
food for thought.
Yeah.
Oh!
And start with pranks and how we treat new people, new workers at the restaurant, whether it's be in the kitchen or front of house as well. Is there some good ones you guys have pulled on some people?
Emptying out the hot water machine.
Yeah, that's the first one.
Always
isn't
the
it?
first one.
That's always the first one.
It's always the go-to.
Yeah, what's the longest you've seen it being done?
I've watched one for 15 minutes
15
before.
Yeah, at least that.
For those who don't know what that is, someone's got to break that down.
Fair enough, go for it.
Okay, so the hot water machine, right, is a machine that's hard tapped, right, to the water line, right, so it never ends unless the water to the building ends, right? So what my colleagues are referring to is turning on that hot water and asking a newbie, right, to empty out the hot water machine, which obviously will never end. And the fun part is watching how long they'll attempt to empty out the hot water machine.
Before they get it.
Before they get it.
Yeah.
Change out the air in the walk-in cooler.
Ooh,
Change out the air in the walk-in cooler. That's my next one.
wow.
Wow.
Thank you
You
for
gotta
sharing.
take the bag and you gotta scoop the air out. What? Oh, we were a bunch of
So
assholes.
you were a bully.
We were a bunch of assholes. You gotta hate them a little bit.
Oh, that's
Wow.
awesome. Change out
Was
the
it done
air.
to you?
You gotta change out the air. In the...
What
I
did they
don't
do to you?
remember.
That's awesome.
Choose to
I
forget
can't
that,
wait
right?
to do that.
No.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hire someone just to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I don't even need new people. I'm gonna hire someone just to do that. I'm Raul Lorenzana, restaurant manager. I wear pinstripes and red socks, born and raised in Brooklyn before Domino's Pizza moved in and spent the rest of the time in Boston, Massachusetts. I've been in the industry 15, 20 years, feels like 30, 40 years. Monotony is my enemy. I love the people, I love the process, I love the product. Most importantly, I love that every day is different.
Otherwise, I mean, I've had somebody have them count the limes and lemons that came in. Just
Inventory the citrus.
Inventory the
Yes.
citrus.
Oh yeah, I've done that.
Probably would
I
do
mean,
that.
if you'd have kept track throughout your shift, you wouldn't have to count them right now. I've done.
So besides the pranks, though, how do you treat a new employee, a newcomer to the Greenhorn?
You make them
Basically.
suffer.
Yeah,
A little
is that
bit,
your
but-
go-to?
A little bit, but then at the end of the shift, you also say, "Hey, man, really great job. Let me buy you a beer."
You
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
Or
But after you hate them a little bit.
Welcome to the team. It's like harmless pranks or whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
harmless fun.
Not
It's
like
like,
that.
hey man, like they totally like threw flour on me my first day or whatever. You know, and
If you-
it's just
if
kind
you
of like
work
a
in-
welcome to the brotherhood. Like it's just a little like,
If you
hey,
work in the
you're one
kitchen,
of
you
us.
gotta learn how to take a fucking joke.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
Seriously.
You
I mean,
gotta break them
How
a
many of
little
y'all
bit.
been locked in the freezer?
Yes, that
You know what I'm saying?
someone did do that to me. They
Yeah.
locked me in the walk-in.
For a while, yeah.
Well, in Houston, that's kind of a nice break.
I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, cool.
My name is Kat Nguyen. I am a sommelier and I run Houston Sommelier Association. I work in sales distribution now. When I say I'm from Houston, I tell people I'm from Houston. It's kind of a mix of everything. Houston is such a hodgepodge city, and Alief definitely, is my hood, and Stafford itself was tiny little small town America. So I got a little bit of both in me. My first job in the hospitality industry was when I was 18. So 18, maybe 19, so that means that's 17, 18 years. I think it takes a certain kind of crazy, but it's what I'm good at. I love to take care of people, and it's very gratifying to be able to take care of people and build these relationships, that I wouldn't have any other way. Like, I am naturally an introvert and very awkward. So when it comes to the hospitality industry, it just felt right. I don't know.
We've all worked in the industry for a while. We've all, some of us are owners now, some of us managers. But when you first started, I mean, one of the subjects that's always tough for me is owners that take over the restaurant and think that they know everything better or think they know what they want to do, and usually don't. They really don't. There's always some good ones. I know Chef Rob and I had a very, very interesting boss that wanted a fine dining restaurant but also wanted a nightclub so you could party. So you try to make a mix of both, which just doesn't work together, does it? I mean, you can't just have a fine Wagyu $50 steak in front of you and then next to you you've got a 18-year-old twerking and dancing around and lasers and smoke screens and DJs playing.
It might work for
It
some
works.
concepts.
It might be able to work.
That's what makes it $50.
It just depends on
Yeah,
what
you get the
it is
show
that
as
you
well.
want.
Yes, it depends on where it's at too. I just moved to Houston recently, and one of the last bars I worked at back home was called Southern Railway Tap House, and we had an amazing chef, great food, but at 10 o'clock, everybody got the boot, and it turned into a nightclub, and it's one of the most popular nightclubs in our city.
Nice.
But it's because we are a super small town. We have a population of 200,000 people for the capital city. So it's like options on where to go for like clubs and stuff is very limited.
Guess we'll
So if
put
you
up
have
music.
something that hits like that, it's 3 levels, big patio, and then you could get good food before you
But as long
tables
as you're
taken
willing
away.
to end the dinner service at a specific time, sure.
Oh yeah.
And if you're gonna keep the dinner going, then
You can't do that.
Yeah,
It
you
turned
kinda
over to
screwed.
more bar snacks and stuff like that
Yeah,
afterwards because you have to
exactly.
sell. You have to sell food if you're selling alcohol,
Absolutely.
obviously. But yeah, as far as like steaks and stuff like that, that ended at 10 o'clock. Kids had to get out. We started taking tables away from people because it's like shoulder to shoulder.
We all have worked long shifts, 18-hour shifts, doubles, open to close, close to open. That's what's something you've had to give up to just give away for being and
The
doing what you do.
sacrifice that you made.
For me, it's been family.
Yeah.
I'm biggest when it's family because you put your family, and you don't mean to, you don't want to. It's just we do it for their family, not for our own. For real, honestly, is what it is, and you end up becoming friends with people you know around the industry.
Yeah, it just kind of
And
builds.
they become your family,
Mhm.
and
Everything else just takes a second step, actually.
it does.
Yeah.
It really does.
My name is Daniel Ornelas, and I'm the owner and chef at Old Railroad Cafe. I am originally from Austin, Texas. Moved over here to Houston back in 2010, and been here ever since. I've been in the industry about 20 years now. I guess I do it because I'm a little insane, a little crazy like most chefs. We got to be a little crazy in the kitchen, and the love for passion for food. We definitely have a lot of fun, and it's also possibly the excitement of it. It's always a rush during the middle of the rush.
Yeah, I mean, relationships are a lot harder when you start dating someone that's not in the industry, and you're working every weekend. You can't go out on Friday nights. You can't go out on Saturday nights. You can't spend Christmas with their
With their
families.
family, yeah.
Missed
can't-
weddings,
yeah.
anniversaries,
Yeah.
funerals, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's it gets pretty rough, honestly. There's and kids are
Those are kids.
one
Yeah.
of the things.
Yeah.
You can't take them to school. You can't pick them up from school.
Because you're working late
Single
hours or
mom,
you're
yeah.
working early morning
Exactly.
hours.
You
Or
don't
you're
wanna-
sleeping.
Or attempting
I
to
mean,
sleep
you're
unless
trying
because
to
they don't
sleep,
care.
yeah.
They don't get it. They just know, hey, I'm awake. It's 8 a.m. I don't care. You got home at 4 a.m.
Right.
It's fine. Wake up. I'm hungry. Feed
Yeah.
me. You don't care. You sacrifice sleep. You sacrifice time and things that you can do with them. It's a little bit, but
You
you
get
do it
the-
because they're passionate about it. I know I am.
Yeah.
You sacrifice your own mental health.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
You're constantly
about that.
putting on a face so that, because everything's fine. Everything is fine. Always, everything is fine because it has to be.
You're happy.
I'm fine, everything's fine. And because, you're taking care of these other people, they don't give two shits what you're missing out on. They don't want to know your personal information. They're there to celebrate their anniversaries, their birthdays, their events, and enjoy their experience. Doesn't matter about your experience
Right.
right now. And that's the life we chose. You know, we chose this life.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like, you got to figure out a way to level yourself.
Mhm.
Because if you don't, like, you burn out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
This is the industry of people pleasing.
Yeah.
So you will always come up second, last, third, whatever, right?
And you wake up every day kind of needing that rush.
That's what it is,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
like
It's
Yeah.
better to burn
I
out
feel
than to
like-
rust.
and then it fade away.
That's a good way to put it.
And it's a good way for, like, in the end, like, sure, your ego, who you are, if you generally like helping other people, but at the end of the day, your needs are never actually like addressed.
You're stroking their ego.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're listening to their
Everything.
problems.
Yep.
As a bartender, you're pretty much a
Oh, yeah.
therapist.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bartender's a
You
therapist.
take all that
Exactly.
on, and then you have to go home and unwind, and you got
Yes.
shit too.
Yeah.
Like we all do. So that's the problem, is knowing when to, like, say, you know what, it's okay to say, enough is enough. I need
To focus on myself.
Yeah,
But
I need love too. And I need to work on me, because I can't do for them if I'm not taking
Yeah,
care of
no.
myself. Candace Beck, just fortunate enough to be friends with a lot of awesome chefs. I have been in the hospitality industry for 25 years. Feels like 2,500 years. Takes a special person, for sure. But I'm still doing it, so I must love it.
Why? Why do we do this? Why do we sacrifice this? That's the question.
Yeah.
That is.
You gotta like it. You gotta love
You
it.
have to.
When we say what we give up, it shouldn't be that it's automatic we're supposed to give those things up. We're supposed to fight those things, right? I think there is a way, right, which is why we've been alive so long in this industry, not just us, but why the industry's been so, alive so long, is that you have to find balance, or else you will self-destruct.
Yeah.
God, you're not mentioning,
A lot of people don't find that balance and don't make it through, to be honest. I mean, I'm sure we've all lost friends in this industry. We've all been through.
We all know chefs that
Yeah.
died really young because they stressed themselves out to the point that they couldn't continue.
Indeed.
Plenty.
I know that. I know we
I think that's
probably
one
all
of
lost somebody in this.
I think it's
Oh,
something
yeah.
that we don't talk enough about in our
Yeah.
industry is mental health.
yes,
Yeah.
You
talk
know,
about it.
because
Talk about it.
I mean,
Yeah.
shoot, like I said this several years ago. I was like, at one point I looked in the mirror, it's like I didn't recognize myself because I stopped listening to myself.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I stopped listening to myself. I forgot what the hell I was about because I was just, by the time I was done with work, all I wanted to do was unwind, pass out, wake up the next day, do it again.
Go through
All over again.
emotions.
And so it became the cycle, and the only high I got was like the rush of the Saturday night,
Yep, that's exactly
and the
right.
release of like locking the door and like being done. And I finally got to breathe. And then, but I didn't have that time to
You weren't
connect with myself. I like had that time to literally like sleep, get up, and do it again. And so if
But
you
you think
don't,
about the substance abuse in our
Oh, yeah.
industry, right? You have this adrenaline shift of giving, and dealing with these punches you're not allowed to retaliate on, right? You take, but you're not allowed to give back. And how do you give back? How many in our world are
You
living
smile and you just-
self-destructive
Oh, yeah.
lives as a relief, right, to dealing with the shift, whether it's drugs, whether it's alcohol, and can't maintain, a great life. I can't tell you how many times it's almost taken over me, let alone, people I've worked with, and had to come out of it. And it's funny that some of the best I've ever worked with were those that were dealing with the biggest demons in order to deal with serving other people. You can only give so much without getting.
Yeah.
Hey y'all, I'm Andrea. I'm a bartender. I've worked in different parts of the bar industry, and so far I really like the dive scene more, or like Irish pubs. So if it's low-key, I'd rather be there. Originally, I'm from Romania, Bucharest, Romania, so I come from a big capital European city. And Houston just kind of is my home American town. So I'm from Houston. So 713, H-Town till I drown. Really, the people are, I guess, the glue of the industry. And not just necessarily like the people that you work with, but also your clients. So you meet, where I work, it's a small little Irish pub, but you'll meet anybody from millionaires to just somebody that maybe has just $5 to buy a beer, and that's great. Somehow they all merge together and they chat. Some of them become friends, and I've seen a lot of relationships growing over, the last 5 years that I worked at that bar, for example, and I think it's just beautiful. So I'm in it for the people.
You're always a people pleaser because that's the part of the industry. And yes, myself being a bartender, I've seen substance abuse throughout the last years, and people really I get it, it's a self-therapy, because at the end of a 12-hour shift, after you having to deal with all these people and they've been just pulling out of you from who you are as a person, you don't want to go to the gym and lift, right? You just want to have a damn drink and maybe smoke a cigarette or do whatever you do, And at my bar, for example, every single year there's been at least one person that died of suicide. And maybe a lot of people don't talk about this, but there's a lot of mental health issues that they don't talk about. And if you're new to this industry, they don't offer you health insurance. There's a couple of places that do.
Let's talk about that.
But most of them don't. And it's very expensive, okay? It's very expensive to afford
wages
this.
and insurance
They
and
don't.
benefits are not something.
It's not something that people talk about. Say, oh, well, you chose this life. Well, you know what? I chose this life because I want to, but at the end of the day, here in Texas, we get paid a little over $2 an hour. All that money goes to taxes
barely
and then
covering
some
taxes.
more. And all of a sudden, you're supposed to be able to cover, your out-of-pocket health insurance of anywhere between $300 to $500 because that's how much it costs, a month. Not to mention life insurance, 401k, all the other stuff. You're supposed to somehow cover this. People don't talk about this. So yes, most of them Medicaid. And yes, I've seen this firsthand. There's so many people in the industry that drink themselves to death, and then die because they're desperate and they die of suicide. It's sad. But also, can we talk about other narcotics? How many people actually use uppers to stay up?
Just to keep going.
Just to keep
going.
Yeah, working 3 doubles
It's
in a row.
insane. I never knew this until I was in the industry. It's shocking.
It's crazy how much
It's shocking.
why people even make 3 doubles. Or people would offer to have their employees do that. I can't do that with my employees.
As far as management, it's
I won't do that with my employees because I'm like, and my employees, they don't see it as well, I can make extra money. They'll see it as I can make extra money. It's like, no, you don't understand. You're gonna burn out.
Yep.
You're gonna burn out
You do.
fast.
I need
This
you to
is
take
why-
tonight off. You are stressed. I need
This
you
is
to
why
take tonight
we're
off.
here.
Right.
This is
Yeah.
why we need 86 chefs.
Right.
Exactly.
For other people
Good point.
Yeah.
to see
Really
this.
good point.
Yeah.
'Cause we don't want to
Because-
86 you.
Yeah.
Because
But-
you will talk to
Well,
them.
because
But-
a lot of money, it's not going to change. It's about us talking about.
And you know,
Yeah.
with COVID, you've seen how much people rely on the service industry, on restaurants. I mean,
Yes.
literally their well-being is affected by all these restaurants being closed, and they're all complaining about
Look
this.
at it now.
Talk
this
to
week,
it,
matter of
talk
fact.
to it,
Yeah.
talk to it.
This
talk
week,
to it.
real quick. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's all right. But when I'm asked why I get into this, and I always say I love it because of the art.
Right.
And the same things that we're talking about, when it happens to a musician,
Right.
we feel pity.
Right.
When it happens to a movie
Talk to it.
star, we feel pity.
Talk to it.
When it happens to an athlete, but this is going on in the restaurant business every day,
Right.
and they don't see
And we
it.
don't talk
So
about
now they get
Generation.
to see it.
Right.
So now they get to see it.
Right.
That's a great point.
I'm Chef Kobe Mandelberg. I work at Camp Houston currently. I'm the pit master. I'm from New Orleans, you hear me? Been in the industry for 4 years. I started off cooking offshore on crew boats. Then I started working in restaurants around the city.
I've always, I guess my family, well, me and Beth, their family used to always sit at the table to eat. And I wasn't used to that kind of, I was used to sitting at the table when we ate and that was it. So if you got there on time, you ate. You didn't, well, that was your fault. And after that, I understood what it was to sit at a table and talk at a table. Didn't understand. And to me, the table, the house table inside any home or any restaurant is important. To me, it's their home. They're eating dinner with their family. That is their time for their family.
Yeah.
And that's what you're giving them, their time for their family
Absolutely.
to spend. And for us, for me, it's, making them feel that same experience. They can ask their kid, hey, how was your day at work? Or how was your day at school? Or, and that's what it feels like to me. I don't know about everybody else, but that's why I think I do it. That's
No,
how I do it.
all too often, what you're giving up is mine for yours.
Yeah.
right? I'm giving up my dinner with my family for your dinner with your family.
Right.
I'm giving up my afternoon with drinks and friends for you and your afternoon with drinks and friends, which is fine, right? It's,
That's what we do.
you know what I mean, right? We love what we do, you know what I mean? However, you know, there are certain things around, you know, health insurance and
wages.
mental health, right? And even time off, right? That we should be allowed, and it's not a privilege, right? But should be fit into our careers just as much as every other industry and every other career.
It's unbelievable that somebody that works so hard and somebody that works so many hours is not offered the possibility of having health insurance or a decent living wage in some cases.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not making any tips that one day, you might have worked 18 hours and you might walk out with $40.
Look who got hit over COVID. Let's talk about COVID-19, right? The industry that took a pounding for COVID-19 and the stimulus package could barely address, right? Because that's when the value of the hospitality worker came into play, was during the stimulus package for the COVID-19. What are they worth? What do we pay them?
Listen, we are
Right?
important.
All of a sudden, they are important, or worse yet, you know, they weren't. The problem is it wasn't a clear cut, here's how we take care of them. Instead, they were allowed to close, right? If you look at the percentage of restaurants
Forced to close.
across the
Forced
nation,
to close.
from Union Square Hospitality, you know, Danny Myers and his restaurants, you know, and what he had to do to keep his restaurants open. Our industry was the only one that came under question of, we're not sure how to take care of them. Who are they, right? Even though everyone, you know, everyone's relief from COVID-19 was about going to a restaurant and bar,
Exactly.
right? Their relief, I
First thing they
can't
do.
wait
The first thing
to
they
go
want
to
to
a
do.
restaurant
That's the
or
first thing they
bar.
want
But
to
when
do.
it was time to relieve our financial needs, insurance, families who had to take care of babies and kids, people who were dependent on tips, we weren't sure how to take care of them. If that doesn't give a huge question mark to the problem on how we view folks in the hospitality industry, I don't know what does. They don't understand this is careers.
Some people
For
love
people.
this.
This is what we're going to
Good
do
at it.
for the rest of our lives. This is how we're going to retire.
it.
This is how we're going to pay for our kids' college. And this isn't in the meanwhile money.
Yeah.
You know, this industry has taken
People-
on.
People think of the service industry as the high school kid that's working at McDonald's.
Right.
Yeah, when are you gonna get a real
Right.
job?
We've got
And you know
I
what?
know
And
we
you know
usually
what?
make more money than they do. Like,
Yeah.
okay, you
Yeah.
have your college education, but here we are. We're making more money than you, and you're asking me when I'm gonna get a real job, and you don't know how I feel about my job,
Right.
or why I do this.
From
Kinda
this
like-
perspective,
Yeah.
I am 100% agreeing with y'all because I did go to college. I have a Bachelor of Science in Economics. I was working in oil and gas. I hated every single day out of it. And guess what? I made more money working 3 shifts a week as a bartender
You
than my
did.
corporate job working full-time 40 hours
Exactly,
with my
40 hours,
benefits.
Exactly.
So you know what? I chose this life. And yes, I'll go there to my office job because, man, I spent all these years in college, going to school. I guess you know what? I hated it. It's not for me. I much rather go behind the bar, deal with people, and buy my own things. It's not. So some people want this.
Maybe
So
later
don't
in
think of them that we're just dumb or we didn't, weren't good in school, whatever. We chose this life, so at least respect us because
be
you
surprised
come
at
to the
how
bar
many
and you
intelligent-
expect for our service.
Oh yeah, tons of
So,
intelligent people.
It's not beer
mutual.
money. It's not necessarily
It's not.
club money. It's not
Yes.
party money.
Because we don't go clubbing.
No,
There
we
are
don't have
folks-
time
this
to.
is-
You're always
They're
working.
Work.
This is food on the table money,
Literally.
right?
But
This
like
is
you said,
retirement
that's
money.
why we're here.
You know?
That maybe this could possibly get out
Shed
there
some
and,
light.
and they
Because
don't
people
know.
don't
I mean, let's
understand.
face it, people are ignorant because people don't know. We think it should be common sense, but let's face it, guys, people don't have common sense.
Common sense is
sense
not
ain't
common.
Common sense to me comes
Neither is
to
common courtesy.
My name is Maxime and I'm a bartender. I'm from Paris, France, born and raised. I've been in the industry for about 9 years now. I love doing what I do. Honestly, since the first time I started serving tables, it's what I've been wanting to do.
A back of the house that doesn't respect front of the house is nothing but a food truck, right? Nothing where it's just chef focused without front of the house is a food truck. A restaurant that is front of the house focused without focus on the back of the house is McDonald's, right? It's all about the front of the house. Nobody cares the way you're preparing the food in the back of the house. The magic is when you're able to get back of the house and the front of the house and have attention on both and quality in both, and that's where you have a true restaurant.
We're front of house, we're back of house. What's something that pisses you off from the other side of the restaurant?
What pisses me off the most is that there's an actual division. Like, I honestly don't understand it.
Front of the house, back of the house.
Like,
We are one team.
Exactly.
Thank
We're all here to make money. We make money off each other. Like, you go out there and sell the food. I cook the food. Like, we're all a team. Like, we all work together. Like, why? I've never really understood that.
Throughout the service industry, there's not as much mentorship and there's not as much like assuming responsibilities. They're just kind of like, oh shit, I'm the manager, you know, whatever. I think that people need to step up more to the role they're actually put to be in.
You know,
Yes.
you know, I'm back at the house and I can almost say that I think front of the house has more responsibility. Because, you know, we're in the back of the house. We gotta cook. We know that's what we do. We cook.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot is put on the front of the house. Like, and I've been in many restaurants, and one thing that is a complete flaw is, you know, how many customers come up to, what do you recommend? The burger. Well, don't just say the burger. You have to sell a burger. You have to know these things, and that's a big responsibility that's put on them if you want to be successful. Everybody in the front of the house should be able to explain the menu just like the back of the house.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even better, really. Just sell it
just
even
have to
better.
sell it.
Should
Yeah.
make it sound so much better than it is.
A successful restaurant, a beautiful restaurant, is this circus. And I don't say circus as an insult. I say circus as this beautiful show of just many things to experience and watch, of all these talented people working in coordination with each other.
It's like a
It's
synchronized
a beautiful
dance.
synchronized dance.
It's a
right?
harmony.
We're
We're back